With UFC 294 just around the corner, Josh and John analyse Usman vs Chimaev.
The one place that Usman lacks is the speed. He's got a good hard jab. He's got good power. He's really become a fucking really good stand-up guy. You know, he's really good. I want to see how much better he's gotten since his loss to Leon. Everything I've heard is that he doesn't wrestle as much because he's dealing with some, like his knees are not, he can't handle the wrestling as much, you know, in camps and stuff.
He's got injuries.
He's got injuries, he's got problems. And so I think that there's a lot to be said, I think, on this, on how he approaches this fight. On the feet, the speed's going to be a factor. And if Khamzat keeps this thing on the feet, I think Usman's going to be in a little bit of trouble. If Usman can turn this into a little bit of a wrestling match and start to slow Khamzat down, I think he's got a better chance.
How many people have you seen take Kamaru Usman down? Leon.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't remember somebody taking him down.
I think Colby got the takedown. He just hit his hip though, was able to control for a split second. Then
But he just popped right back up.
I get it.
That's
not
not
a takedown. They didn't count it as a takedown.
It's not a takedown.
Yeah, it was, John.
Okay, well now you're Dave.
I think if Usman can survive the first round, like the big onslaught, and you start letting it go. Is this a 3-round fight though? It is.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard for Usman to win a 5-round or 3-round fight. 5-round fight, I'd probably lean towards Usman.
Look, I've watched Chimaev before he was in the UFC. We talked about him before when he first got. I said, look, I've seen this kid. He's fucking good, but he does get tired.
Yeah.
Usman has got an incredible gas tank.
Yeah.
Similar to a Colby Covington. If there's a guy out there that can match that gas tank, it's Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
He has got a gas tank. And in my opinion, the one thing that is going to really separate these guys is how much work does Khamzat get in before he starts to get tired? How much damage is he able to do to Kamaru? Because if he's not, Kamaru's going to keep that pressure on him, and that pressure could be what starts to break him.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see Kamaru go up to 85.
Yep.
You know, I would have liked to have seen him because I look at Kamaru Usman. If he gets this win, he's fighting Sean Strickland.
You think so?
No, Dana already came out and said the winner of this fight's fighting for the title.
Okay.
That's what he came out and said. He's like, the winner of this fight's fighting next for the title, which makes sense because Izzy now is stepping away.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah,
Kamaru, I think Kamaru's like, look, I've done everything I can at 170. I feel good at 185.
I think he's going to feel great at 185.
Yeah, I think so too. So I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm worried about the speed of Khamzat and his sporadic, like he's real active. He's very aggressive in that first strong. 2.5, 3 minutes.
Yep.
He is pushing on it. And can Kamaru get back to his technique? Can he get back to his stance to defend himself fast enough? All of those things. He's going to have to deal with that onslaught in that first 3 minutes against. But I think after he survives that, I think he's got a good chance. And he's got a really good chance. And I feel like people must think that I got something against Usman because I always seem to kind of not go against him, but say that he's kind of the underdog. He's kind of the underdog.
I think he might be the underdog in this one.
Homeboy always proves me wrong, though. He has always proven me wrong. Always. Yeah. This guy can fucking fight. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm hoping Usman gets the win. I'd like to see him get the win. Get in there. I'd like to see him in Strickland. That'd be a fun fight.
Not bad.
Fun fight.
And while talking to TMZ Sports, Usman says he believes he's just as big of a threat as Khamzat Chimaev. He's very skilled, he's strong, he's big, he's fast, he can wrestle, he can grapple, he can strike. He has everything, but so do I. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. Everybody feels invincible until someone comes in and pokes that balloon. And although his win over Strickland came over 6 years ago at welterweight, Usman believes their history would make things much more interesting. It's built in. Sean Strickland's the champion. I've already taken care of him. Not to say he's not better, he is, but I've got a mountain in front of me that I need to scale and climb, so we'll get through that first and then we'll worry about what's next. And Bo Nickal was disappointed the UFC didn't offer him the opportunity to step in on short notice. I was disappointed they didn't ask me to step in there. I was expecting at least an ask, like, hey, do you want to do this? But no, just nothing. Nothing from the UFC. It is what it is. I'm guessing they didn't want me to roll over into Abu Dhabi on like 10 days notice and then smash their boy in front of his home crowd. He then commented on Usman moving up to middleweight to fight Khamzat Chimaev. I think that for Usman, he's already been the champ, defended his belt and then just lost back to back, so he's not really in a great position to pick and choose. He's not staying at middleweight. I'll bet any money that he doesn't stay at middleweight. I mean, if he gets a title shot, maybe, but I just couldn't imagine that. But we'll see how it plays out. On to the main event with Volkanovski telling Ariel Helwani he isn't holding anything back in this one.
What do you believe is going to happen?
I believe I finish it. You know what I mean? Again, I think this is, you're going to see a real, probably one of the most dangerous Volkanovskis you've ever seen. Just purely because I can't afford to do anything else. You know what I mean? That's how I'm looking at it. And I want to look at it that way. So it's like I'm looking at it like, all right, let's do this. You know, we're going in for the kill. You know what I mean? Stuff leaving it to the judges. You know, stuff any of that. Let's just go out there and really set a statement. You know, got 11 days notice in his hometown. All, you know, it's all. And then I go out there and take him right out. Mate, that's legacy stuff we're talking about. You know what I mean? This fight itself is just legacy. Go out and knock him out. That's going to be absolutely mind-blowing for the world to see. And again, I can't wait. I'm nothing but excited for this opportunity. Cannot wait for this weekend, I'm telling you.
And Islam's coach Javier Mendez believes Alex will be much more aggressive this time round. Volkanovski is going to do more. He's going to take chances. He's going to take more chances than last time. He's not going to be worried about the takedowns because he obviously survived the ground last time. And he also did his best work on the ground, not in the stand-up. So he's not going to be afraid of anything. That's the one thing I feel he's going to do, is he's going to come and he's going to come throwing. He's not going to be too cautious because he feels he can handle whatever it is he has to throw. But we'll see. I mean, you can feel whatever you want to feel, but when you're in there, it's not what I think, it's not what you think, it's not what anybody thinks, it's what these two are going to do. For the UFC, I think they had a great main event. Now they got a way better main event. They got, in my opinion, the all-time greatest rivalry in champion vs champion UFC history. And Paddy Pimblett fires back at critics who first labelled him as the worst in the division, but now are saying Tony Ferguson is being fed to the wolves. I've seen a lot of people talking shit about the fight. It's quite annoying. A couple of weeks ago, before the fight was announced, I was the worst lightweight in the UFC. I was shit. And then as soon as me and Tony Ferguson gets called, it's like they're feeding Tony to the wolves. How can the worst in the division be a wolf? Use your own logic, you gang of gobshites. The schmo then compliments Paddy on his dialed-in energy and looking like he's ready to go. Here's what Paddy had to say then. I am, lad. As I say, I've got a statement to make. It's been a while since I've had so long out the cage. By the time I fight, I'll have had over a year out the cage. And the amount of training I've done to get better, I'm just a different fighter. It's going to be Paddy 2.0. A new mythical fighter's gonna get unlocked. But Paddy isn't getting ahead of himself and says he remains focused on finishing Tony Ferguson.
I want to be the champ, lad, of course, it goes without saying, but can't get ahead of myself, especially after my last performance. All I'm thinking about now is coming out and finishing Tony Ferguson in the first round. You know what I mean? Make his statements, let everyone know what they were missing. And then I'll start looking at ranked opponents in the new year. And fellow Scouser in Darren Till has this to say about the boxing scene and his potential fight with Mike Perry.
Listen, give me 2 years in this boxing, I'm going to absolutely comatose every one of my opponents, including Mike Perry. God love him. And then I'll come back to UFC. That's a promise. I'm headed to the top, can't stop in the middle. We are on the rise, so keep watching the skies. We don't need a night like this. We're already glowing in your lifetime. No one's ever shown you what we're showing tonight. Watch your young eyes light up the night sky.